You have to understand the fact that poetry is not something that is greatly admired yet in our society. So one has to be very careful too. In actual fact, performance is what surrounds our poetry festivals. And it's the performance of poetry that makes it fanciful to the people.
True.
So if you want to catch the people, you perform. Otherwise, if you read poetry the way you're going to read it in the ivory tower, then you'll be taking poetry away from the people.
They might find it too stilted.
So when you bring in performance, so for instance now, the poem Vanity by Birago Diop, if I come out to say, if we tell gently, gently, all that which I want they have to tell, who then will hear our voices without laughter? Sad complaining voices of beggars. Who indeed will hear them without laughter? If we cry roughly of our torments, ever increasing from the start of things, what eyes will watch our large mouths, shaped by the laughter of victory? If I come to do that, I'll be working on the emotions of people.
True. You have already worked on my emotions.
And so they enjoy that poem even the more. Performance. So
you got my emotion.
When people do books and say people are not reading them, people are not buying them, I used to tell our people, if you do not provide books that the people want, then you don't expect them to read them.
You want to force feed them.
You don't expect them to, you see, it is what they should enjoy, what they think they want that you give them.
So the starting point should not be for the writer to be in his own world.
You have to think of the
people. But
to
also look at what the market
is.
A
writer is not supposed to speak above his audience. And speak below them as well. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to consider that if you're writing, you're not just writing for yourself. And if you think that first and foremost you're writing for yourself, but you must consider that there are some people out there that you must reach to.
So you allow your poetic form as well as the aesthetic infusions to be dictated to some reasonable extent by the needs of the audience.
You have to do that. Otherwise, it will be like a madman talking to himself.
Because you're talking, no one is listening.
It's like you just in the street, you are talking, and I mean, nobody's listening to you.
So that's
you are talking to yourself, so the society considers you mad.
So that's a lesson for us.
So if you have to think of the people, the society, then you must know that you're not supposed to talk to yourself.
But what about those
who, to them.
But what about those who say, I only yield myself to my creative muse?
Yes.
And what I've churned out is what my creative muse has propelled me to churn out.
Considering the fact that I must relate with some people. It is not that my instinct has made me to produce something, but am I producing that thing for myself, or should I produce it just for myself and lock it in my room?
You know,
no,
you see,
I have to consider that I am doing so for some people. So I must carry them along.
So how do you ensure sustainability? Because money answers all things.
You see, passion is what is driving some of us to do what we're doing. If we have to consider money, we're not going to do anything. It's a passion. Well, I set up Poetry Enclave with the aim of encouraging the writing, reading, and performance of poetry.
Okay.
So not only is one supposed to write, one is supposed to read, and one is also supposed to perform. That is what makes poetry more fanciful to the people. And since the establishment of Poetry Enclave, the story has been good. If you want to begin to write, you have to begin to observe your society.
Okay.
You must be observant as a writer.
Keen
observer. Because there are little things passing by that can form part of your story in terms of your writing.
Okay.
And so if you are not observant, too bad.
If
you are traveling, then you might be in a bus with somebody whose wink or whose manner of talking could be more of an eccentric human being that will interest people when you are recounting that experience in your poem.
So the first thing is you have to be a keen observer.
You have to.
Do you train people in skills on how they can develop their observation
Oh yeah.
capacity?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It means that you must have your biro and your jotter or a notebook or
journal.
something that whatever
Handy
you
and all
notice, just put
You
down.
scribble it down.
Scribble it
So
down.
that's the first thing. What next?
What next? You have to be a good reader.
Okay.
It means that you have to read the poems of some other people, know their styles, know how they have maneuvered their lines. And for first timers, I tell them you're just like somebody who should be doing 100 meters. Don't bother to do 1,500 meters because you may not have the strength to go that far. So
do the 100-meter dash
it is about
and use that to build your muscles and your lungs.
Yes, then eventually you can go that far, 1,005 meters. So we take you through all that. I mean, within a short time, I mean, because this thing is part of our existence,
Yeah.
it gels, and then you're on the move. And then you can be reaching out to the world, tripping them, rocking the scene, shaking the scene. That's it.
What next?
They should begin to form their own lines.
How do they go about that?
Oh, of course, if you begin to observe your society, if you begin...
What's the writing process like with poetry?
In poetry, you know...
How do you go about composing your poem? You as a poet.
Well, I get the inspiration. That's the first thing. I must be motivated. I must get a push. Something must strike me, and I begin to write. I could be reading a poem, and a line or a word could just strike in me some lines, and I just go ahead.
Okay. What other things inspires you?
Well, sometimes I missed friends while discussing issues of utmost importance. Something will just come, and I just scribble some lines, and I develop them later.
What else?
When I take some drinks.
Okay, like the wine that we're having now.
When I take some drinks.
So this is also part of the catalyst of the creative muse.
Yeah. When sometimes you're a little bit higher than the pedestrian level.
Yeah.
When you have taken some.
Then you can wine
sip.
with the spirits.
Oh yeah, you know, it could help
Yeah.
the motivation.
Okay.